right now we're saying hello and speaking with Tom Cirignano, the author of The Constant Outsider, Memoirs of a South Boston Mechanic. And Tom, are you doing a signing here today? 2 p.m. I'll be here 10 to 2, and I'll be happy to sign books for anybody that wants one. Now, folks, when you read the book, you're going to get this. You'll hear about Tom in his younger days, and a rough and tumble guy who's able to take care of himself. And I look at Tom. Tom, you are just the mildest-mannered guy I've met in a long time. So how did you make that transition? At what point did you realize you can't live that way?
Well, I think everybody gets to a mental breaking point when I was picked on as a child out in the streets. I was the Italian kid in the neighborhood with the mean father that picked on all the neighborhood kids. And, for some reason, a lot of Irish kids in the neighborhood, they made it a point to make my life miserable.
We're Italian.
Yes. And so that's how it all began. And, kids snap all the time, but thank God that I just did it with my fist.
And you realize at this point that's not the way to make some decisions, though. It took you a while.
Yeah. I mean, now, there are other programs that I have found to handle bullying, and I even worked on some of those in the school system.
Yeah. We'll talk about that a little bit later. Before we do that, though, before the break, I mentioned the gas crisis, and a certain individual pulled up to your pump. Tell us that story. It's wonderful.
Well, I had a lot of kind of bad encounters at the gas pumps, because we had signs up saying $2 limit to strangers that we didn't know. We had to reserve what we were getting for gas for the commercial account customers that we did have, because the gas shortage was not going to last forever. We needed to take care of them. So, people would come in, I'd get in close to fist fights at the pumps. People even spat at me at times because we had to say no to them. A friend of mine had volunteered to stand guard in my office, and he was a World War II veteran, actually, from Pearl Harbor survivor. And because a gas jockey at another gas station, I think it was on the other side of South Boston, was shot to death at the pumps over a confrontation about filling up somebody's tank.
Yeah,
imagine that. So he volunteered. He's sitting in the office. This big luxury car pulls in for gas. I didn't know who the driver was. And he totally ignores the $2 limit sign saying, fill it up. And I says, sir, can't you see the sign? I mean, I was in a bad mood already from dealing with this day in and day out. Can't you see the sign, $2 limit? He says, pull it up, and I see this shiny automatic weapon stuck at the window opening at me, right? So, it's funny, you don't get nervous when a gun is pointed at you. I guess you get really nervous when you hear the bang. But anyway, I just said, okay, and my friend, I hoped he had seen this happening.
The one with the gun?
Yeah. I turned and winked at the office, made a little gesture, walking towards the gas pumps, telling the guy, I'll fill it up for you. And as soon as I got out of the way, the door whipped open at the shop, which is only maybe 10 feet from the gas pumps. If you see the pictures in the book, you'll know what I'm talking about. Yep. And the guy, my friend, had a gun pointed right at the door, had the guy dead to rights. He was aiming at me, and this guy, he had to react quickly. Well, apparently the car was still running. He hits the up switch on the electric window, caught his hat in the window. That's how fast it went up. Yep. Crushed his hat in the window and drove away. Of course, I remember the face of that gentleman, because the funny thing about it was he never looked me in the eye. He never looked directly at me. He just looked towards me. And when somebody has a gun like that, you kind of remember what they look like.
I would imagine so.
So we laughed about it, and I thanked my friend Lyle for saving my day. All at once I start seeing pictures surface of Whitey Bulger on the news and FBI bulletins and things like that. And I say, I got a chill, because one of the pictures is a profile. It's the exact profile that I was looking at that day. Yeah, I mean, here's a guy that probably had places he could get gas anywhere he wanted. Why did he pick on me? And how did he live in South Boston all those years with never once came into my shop? Was it because he liked his Irish gas stations better than the Italian? I don't know. But anyway, he never came in before. And then I realized that it was actually him.
It was Whitey Bulger.
Yeah.
After it happened, were you a little more cautious about who you were pumping gas for at that time? But you had to be on the lookout for something, didn't you?
Caution, keep your eyes open.
Yep.
But, strange things did happen after that incident. Came in one morning to find my gas pump smashed to the ground, and found out from a neighbor that had witnessed the whole thing that it wasn't an accident. They came back twice to do the damage, not just once. So things like that.
could have been retaliation.
Yeah, that could have been, but you don't have any proof. Another guy got shot multiple times at my gas pumps by a same black Oldsmobile that looked like the one that knocked the pumps over. But then again, were they looking for me? I don't know. But thank God I got out of there and survived those things.
You moved to Braintree later on, living in South Boston, and you had the transformation from the city kid, working class neighborhood to a more affluent area.
Mm-hmm.
So a great story of kids having cars, did a lot of drinking, pretty much right across at Holbrook School from your house.
Yeah.
You tell a great story, and again, folks, the book is The Constant Outsider, Memoirs of a South Boston Mechanic, and Tom has now moved to Braintree, and once again, he's Lakeville. Well, here in this book.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
He moved to Braintree near the Holbrook School, and once again, he's an outsider. You tell a funny story about a kid named Bubsy.
Yeah, Bubsy. He's still a very good friend of mine. I still see him after all these years. But, I had to figure out a way I don't have to give all the stories away in the book, but I had to figure a way to get in good with this gang that was so close to my house. And they sounded like they were having the best time of their lives up there, burning rubber and drinking beer. And so I couldn't figure out a way to get in there until one day I said, well, they all drink. So what I'll do is I'll steal some of my father's beer, and I'll go sit myself on the stairs of the school before they get there. Then they have no choice but to either sit with me and join me or leave. And then there's a long story that's quite amazing of how things transpired. And I eventually got in good with that gang, and we're still, many of us are close friends to this point,
including Bubsy.
Oh, Bubsy, yeah.
I have to ask you, folks, just Bubsy, why Bubsy? Something to say on the air?
Well, yeah, I can say his name was Fabiano.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and we called him Bubsy because, like I said in the book, amazingly, I went from an Irish neighborhood to virtually 99.9% of the kids in Braintree who were Italian. So that was one way I fit in right there.
We're speaking with Tom Cirignano, the author of The Constant Outsider, Memoirs of a South Boston Mechanic. Tom, later on you moved to Lakeville with your wife Diane. Your son had a chance to move here in 1998 after 11 years in Florida. And you tell an interesting story again of moving to another town. Once again, you're the outsider.
Yeah, well, we were the outsiders in Florida, and because they hated the Northerners coming down there and clogging up their school systems and roads. But thank God that I found ways to fit in down there. In Lakeville, I also noticed that there was sort of an attitude to newcomers, because it was a time when, Lakeville was all farmland. All of a sudden you see developments, boom, boom, they're all popping up every so many quarter miles. I can understand how people would be upset. But I had an incident, at a store where I was waiting in line to buy lottery tickets or something, and tried to strike up a conversation with an older gentleman. As soon as he was nice, until he realized, oh, this is one of those newcomers to town. And then, obviously, it took a nasty turn.
Once again, you were the outside.
I'm always the outside.
Well, you did become an insider. You joined the Lakeville School.
You work your way in, and you try to make friends. That's all you can do.
We'll speak with Tom Cirignano, the author of The Constant Outsider, Memoirs of a South Boston Mechanic. Before we go, I have to question that. When you read the book, folks, Tom was involved in a lot of challenges. I'll put it that way. He had a very fast 74 Dodge Challenger. He climbed Mount Washington, telling a great story during a horrendous storm, almost losing your life there. Talks about picking up ultralight and landing up in Weymouth Harbor. What challenge you today? What's your challenge today?
One thing you will never see me doing is jumping out of an airplane.
You won't do that?
Nah. I like wings attached to me they're open before I get out of the plane.
Tom, I thank you so much for being here. Folks, I can't recommend the book enough. It's The Constant Outsider, Memoirs of a South Boston Mechanic by Tom Cirignano. And, again, tell the folks how we can get the book.
Okay, yeah. Like I said, all the major online sources. Hopefully someday you may see it in bookstores physically also. But they can order it for you as it is now. And if people would like a signed copy and they don't make it to the signing today, they could email constantoutsider@AOL.com and just put in copy request in the subject line, but there's no "the" in that email address. It's just constantoutsider@AOL.com. And I'll try to try to take care of anybody that really would like one.
And come by today. The Something's Brewin Book Cafe for signing. Tom will be here. Actually, I'm going to get him inside here for 10 o'clock. So the publisher is X Libris. It's X, the letter X, Libris. So if you're looking to see who published that, get a hold of the book now, folks, so you can say you read it and you knew him when. Tom, thanks for being on the program.
No, thank you a million times.
My pleasure. Thank you.